All right, let's start with the Usos. Tag team champions again. I think people went into this match thinking it could go a lot of different ways. I thought the build to it was nice. Little notes so I don't forget. I like that AJ and Dragon Lee were already kind of thrown. I mean, it was just a setup for something that happened afterwards, but going, hey, we want to defend against you, Javon Evans, and get Leon Slater together again. Like, they were talking as if they were going to win, and somebody might think, that means they're winning tonight. And it just did. It just meant Styles was confident, and if we win, then we move on. But the Usos won. After 5 minutes back and forth action, Joe Tessitore very excited about the year ending this way. But I thought he did a nice job selling it. I mean, Joe Tessitore's best feature is sometimes his worst feature in that he goes overboard. I thought that this was, slightly overboard for some in terms of his reaction to the importance of this. But it was fine. I mean, I would still dial it back just a little bit. His tendency is to try to sell everything happening as the biggest thing ever. But at the same time, I'd rather have an announcer seem sincerely excited in selling it. And he did. And of course, now the question is, what's going to happen with the Usos? Do they stay together and have a nice, straightforward babyface run? Or, as they hinted at earlier, Jay's still got an issue of confidence. Jimmy's giving him pep talks. But is them being tag champs now setting up something down the line where when they lose the belts, there's a blame game or a confidence issue or something like that? So I'm intrigued. I think either way is fine. I think some people would be disappointed if we don't get something more with what Jay has been going through. And I don't think they'd be telling this story if they didn't have more to tell. But maybe the story was just he and Jimmy got back together and won the tag belts and everything is fine. You can cheer Jay again. It'd be a little more straightforward than they usually are. What do you think?
Yeah, this feels like a step in a multi-chapter journey that Jey Uso is going on. So that Jey Uso has going on. So so I wouldn't look for this to be a long title run. It seems like it's there to get him where he needs to be. So.
Yeah, in the chat, Real Legend says, I think the Usos stay together until they lose and Jay snaps. And yeah, that's kind of, he posted that right before I said it. Jay in Hartford says, I like the Usos together again. I love Jay's singles run, but I think the story should be that he got into this business to be in a team with his brother, and the singles run was icing on the cake. Yeah, I mean, I think that's good too. Derek Mitchell says, who knows what lies ahead in the story for the Usos? I thought we might get something special from the New Day, and it just didn't come to fruition. Jack Reeves said the Usos winning the tag titles again feels like they both moved on and have been dragged back to a team. Great match, but I didn't want them to win. Hopefully there's a story in it. There is a little bit, Paul, of the Usos being tag champs that feels like, I don't know, it's not quite like the New Age Outlaws coming back, but it's sort of like, is it this again? Is this really all that exciting? I mean, we'll cheer. It's good matches, as Darrell in the chat says. It gave us a real good main event. And they did, but is there something about it that's sort of like, kind of been there, done that. We want something new.
Yeah. That there hasn't been a lot of momentum building to this. Even the Usos didn't seem super excited about it. They seem less triumphant and maybe a little bit more resigned. So I think the crowd was happy, and a ninth tag team title win for the Usos is. Certainly, it's a big deal, but this is not the championship reign that the fans were asking for or looking out for.
And now it's just tell us a story. Tell us a good story with them. And I don't mind if the story is that they successfully defend the titles against a couple top heel tag teams for a couple months before we get to kind of the next chapter. You can drop hints of. Like Jay almost got pinned. Jimmy broke up the cover. Jay sulks. And Jimmy says, don't sulk. We still got this. Like Jay could overreact to some moments of jeopardy or near misses. I don't know. I mean, there are for sure, because they played it up tonight. Jimmy came in and talked to Jay and said, you were a world champion. Look at all our tag team title reigns. You got nothing to be ashamed of. And I thought Jay was... he showed real honor in saying, I got my problems. I've let myself down. I don't want to now drag my brother down. And Jimmy's like, don't talk like that. That's not that's a wrong mindset to have. But, Jay is a good guy at this point, and going, you might be a little sick of him moping if you're a fan, but you also might go, hey, I like Jay. And fans like Jay, so they might just go, come on, get out of your funk. You're good. Stop doubting yourself. And it's a story WWE likes to tell. You know, I mean, Bailey sort of went through that. Different people deal with it different ways. But I think fans will enjoy seeing them team together. But with the seeds they planted tonight, I think it's quite a bit more likely that we see something semi-regularly. I do vote for a little normalcy for a few title defenses. Like, don't just rush into it. It feels a little, predictable that way. A couple other notes from the chat, and I'll throw back to you, Paul. Jack Reeves says, as an actor and writer, I'm aware you can't have quality every time it happens. Oh, that was a big picture one I saved for later. I'll get back to that. That's what I want to put up. Derek Hubbard said, the middle of the match was too slow and long, but the burst of energy and final stands of the match was great. I prefer the Usos back as a tag team. Jay is a better tag wrestler than singles. Is that true, Paul?
Well, I think Jay as a singles, in my opinion, is still a priority. I didn't think they looked great tonight. I thought they seemed a little bit unmotivated. This was, it's true, the last 5 minutes picked up and were very exciting. But the first half of the match, it just didn't seem like the Usos were particularly motivated. Now, I certainly agree that Jay is at his best when he's part of something else, part of the bloodline, part of something else going on. Although I'm not sure a tag team with Jimmy is where he needs to be in 2026 ultimately.
Real Legend says, I think Jimmy looks excited. Jay is the one who looks resigned. Derek Mitchell brings up, this is the first Raw main event with male performers since July 28th that did not feature a member of the Vision. That's interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Been a while. Interesting. Well, first, a question from Ice Fishing Void. Welcome, Ice Fishing Void. Who would be some new rivalries they can build a story with? Derek Hubbard offered it up in the chat. Austin Theory and Bronson Reed against the Usos is a nice feud that could elevate the tag titles and lay the groundwork for what is next for all four wrestlers. Jay in Hartford says, I vote for the Vision taking the tag titles eventually. I could see Theory and Logan, too. I mean, they linked them tonight.
Yes.
I think they could. I wouldn't be shocked if it's Theory and Reed, but I also think, tonight there's a little bit more linkage with Logan and Theory. We'll certainly talk about, Theory is a big part of tonight's show. We'll cover that more as we go on here. We got a poll up on PWTorch asking people's confidence level in Theory's push, or the wisdom of giving him this much of a push. We'll get into the early results of that too. So Paul, additional thoughts on some of those topics on the Usos?
So I do like the idea of the Vision going for the tag team titles. They are as such the epicenter of Raw these days, and they're so relevant that would kind of make the tag team championship seem actually more important and more relevant if the Vision has the titles in their sights.
Do you agree with Derek Mitchell, who says the Usos winning the tag titles is more about the storyline than building up the tag team division, which is poor? And I'll add to it, can you do both? I mean, can't you tell the story, but also not make it seem like the title defenses are only about the story, but they're about the prestige of the tag titles?
Yeah, I think I think you can accomplish both, and I think that's mostly what they've done. I think that the elevation of AJ Lee, or Dragon Lee, and AJ Styles sort of accomplished multiple different things. It helped reestablish Styles as an important player heading into his final year in WWE. It certainly gave Dragon Lee a rub. And although they didn't have a lot of great chemistry between them, it just never quite seemed to click. They certainly gave us a lot of exciting matches. So just proof that a title reign can accomplish multiple things. Yeah.
Very good. Derek Mitchell adds, before Jimmy and Jay were on even playing field, the year Jay won the Rumble, former World Heavyweight Champ, and pushes the main eventer, I think even teaming with his brother Jimmy won't satisfy Jay. Is that an issue where Jay got a taste of, I haven't seen this being an issue, but I could see it becoming an issue where Jay had singles glory and maybe being tag champs isn't enough for him, and that irks Jimmy, because Jimmy's like, hey, we're brothers, let's do this together. and Jay can't stop talking about his ex, the World Heavyweight title, and can't focus on how good life is with the tag team titles.
I like that. I like referring to the World Heavyweight Champion as Jay's ex. Yeah, certainly we haven't seen a lot of hints of that. Although Jimmy was really much more invested in this title win, it did seem like he was more about reversing his brother Jay's funk necessarily than he was winning the titles for himself. So I think that the story and the focus I think ultimately is on Jay as a singles performer.
All right, well, let's pause and introduce the show and move on to some other topics too. After that, we welcome the chat to continue this discussion too. This is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show from Monday, December 29th, 2025. I'm going to say 2025 for like the next 6 weeks. I'm sorry, people. I'm saying it. I'm already like self-conscious. Is it 2025 still? Yeah, of course it is. But I'm going to try to not draw attention to it and just get it right starting on Friday. But this is the Wade Keller Post Show. We're covering Raw. It was live on Netflix tonight. No tape show, no delayed show. It was good to have that format back. It was just sometimes, I mean, it's whatever. It's a holidays. It's going to happen. But it's good to have, first run, non-spoiler filled program. At least I think it was live, right? I'm not completely out of touch. I lost all count. Such a crazy schedule last couple weeks with AEW and WWE. So anyway, yeah, we got a lot more to talk about on Raw tonight, and we'll continue to do that with the chat interacting with us. We are live on the PWTorch YouTube channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I host the post shows after Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. We also do shows after NXT on Tuesdays with Kelly Wells and Nate Lindberg and a mix of some other co-hosts. And also, by the way, my plan is still to host a special live Impact show next month when they go live, just for that first show. I think it'd be kind of a fun occasion to see what they present on that show. So unless I have forgotten something or something comes up where I can't do it, that's the plan. I got to rearrange some normal things I do on Thursday to make sure that works. And then also after major events, and Taylor Haley and joined Brandon LeClaire after AEW's World's End pay-per-view on Saturday night. That is available on our YouTube channel. You could watch it live after the pay-per-view. And then they all go up for downloading and listening in audio format on our podcast feed. Search Wade Keller or search PWTorch. Actually, not or, both, to subscribe to all of our free podcasts. When you search Wade Keller, you'll see the blue and red logos pop up. Those are different feeds with different shows. The blue logo features our main podcast, including the weekly flagship, along with pay-per-view previews, mailbag episodes, interviews, some really cool flashbacks. In fact, Wednesday on the blue logo show, the Wade Keller podcast feed, my conversation over an hour and a half with Matt McCarthy, ex-WWE creative team member. I'm sorry, it was 5 years ago. From 5 years ago on December 31st, 2020. Looking back on, no, it was 10 years ago. I just was formatting it earlier. It's our 10 years ago flashback with Matt McCarthy, thankfully reviewing 2015, not 2020. And so there's some good topics there. We also, Matt McCarthy is not only an ex-WWE writer, but also a stand-up comedian. And he evaluated attempts at humor in professional wrestling, especially in WWE that year. So that's coming up Wednesday night. So download that late Wednesday or first thing Thursday morning. So like I said, lots of fun stuff on the blue feed. Tomorrow, though, is the flagship with Jason Powell from ProWrestling.net. Get your questions in or topic suggestions for tomorrow's podcast recording. It's not live on YouTube. It's only available by download on the blue logo show. And the email for that is wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. Now, you can email the show tonight if you're watching us live on YouTube, or anytime during Raw, Dynamite, or SmackDown if you want to be part of the post show. wadekellerpostshow@gmail.com is the best email to send your questions, comments, or rants or topic suggestions. wadekellerpostshow@gmail.com. But it might be too late as you're listening to this to do that, but you can still be part of the flagship. wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. I'll be by Wednesday night if all goes as planned on New Year's Eve with an AEW post show. AEW running a show, so our plan is to do that also. So join us there also. Cool. All right. Well, let's. And then if you want to be on the show tonight, and you're watching us live, be a video caller. You can turn off your camera if you want to be audio only. The link to that is in my Raw report at PWTorch.com. Hope you're checking out PWTorch.com every day. We got great contributors writing great editorial pieces, special features. I really enjoy my job as editor and proofreader with all the contributions that the team makes. and it helps reinforce things, give me new ideas, a new way of looking at things, and I think it will for you too. It's not just short SEO-driven sound bites. It's not AI-written drivel. It's like real fans with diverse tastes and interests making their way onto the team and in covering wrestling in a way that I think will help you enjoy it more and look at it differently and see things you didn't. One of those contributors is Paul Weigle. Welcome, Paul. Good to have you back.
Thanks a lot, Wade. Excited to be here.
No, I always love reading your takes. Talk about your column and your format, and a little bit about what it's like writing about it, because having to name wrestlers in the format that you do and you've got to make a case for it. Like you're not writing about everything on the show. You got to pinpoint who. We'll talk about the format and the writing process and how you decide what to do.
Sure. Yeah, so I've been a fan of the PWTorch columns for well over a decade. A great place to share my own enthusiasm and get the takes of other fans like myself. And I write now. Pleased to write the WWE Rising Stars and Fading Stars weekly column. And so each week I take a look at whose performances stand out, and who is overperforming in their roles and who is really failing, and also take a look at how things are looking for stars who are getting a new platform, a new level of push, for example. So at the end of the year coming, I just recently wrote the year-end awards. So the 2025, the male rising stars and fading stars of 2025, and you can look for the female awards coming out this coming week.
Yeah, and a quick route to that is just go to on our website, if you want to jump right to it, to go to the opinions and analysis tab, and then choose rising and fading stars, and you can see Paul's work there. It's great having those contributions there, and it's sometimes a tough call who to include and who not to, and you always want to make the case. Dennis Klein does the same thing for AEW, and he's writing about trying to make a case for Gabe Kidd being a fading star, and Okada was a little bit easier to do this week, but your best of awards with for the full year is a good comprehensive list, and I feel like we won't talk too much about it. We'll just go look at who he picked for number 1 compared to number 2 as the rising stars of the year, and see if you agree. It is you chose a divisive top, but less divisive than it has been in a while, but it's an interesting choice that the people who are on a path upward will just leave it there. Go check it out in the opinions section, the rising and fading stars. And again, we have columns on AEW and WWE each week. All right. Cool. I think that covers the basic stuff we need to do. So let's get back to the conversation. Let's move to Austin Theory, officially in the Vision, and had a one-on-one match with Rey Mysterio. Got in most of the offense. I wouldn't say he was like viciously dominant in the way that Gunther was with R-Truth. I don't think that's a story they want to tell with him right now, because obviously Braun Breaker is a top guy. But he has been welcomed in. Logan Paul was sort of his sponsor. Paul Heyman sent him to the ring, said you guys can bond. Austin Theory said he's got Braun Breaker's back after Braun said we've got your back now. So they're kind of, we get to watch in real time them forging trust with each other, I guess. I think there's not on television. They're not playing this up at all, but I think there's logical reason to speculate that Theory is either already is or is hedging or is outright planning to turn on the Vision, and that he's been sent there by Seth Rollins. And that's just something that's been kind of fun speculation. I talked about it here a bit last week on Raw, and I think on the flagship, and maybe with Todd and Rich even. I mean, it's just like that possibility is there, but I don't see anything so far inconsistent with. Everything is consistent with that, but there's nothing inconsistent. There's nothing that proves it either. Like, I just think it's open to either of those scenarios. And I think it's kind of fun because Theory hasn't done anything heinous, like where you'd be like, oh, if this was the plan all along, boy, what he did to Ray was totally uncalled for. Like, he's trying to prove himself. So I don't want to get ahead of things because I think I go back and forth, and it's a small swing over 50-50 in terms of where this is going. I just think it could go either way. I could see Theory being in it for the long run. What I think is very undeniable and indisputable is Paul Heyman at the moment is presenting Theory as one of 4 future WrestleMania main eventers. And I liked the structure of Heyman's promo tonight, saying 5 years from now, on whatever platform you guys are going to be blabbering on in 2030, as 2030 comes to a close, you'll be looking back at this moment as the time that these 4 WrestleMania main event wrestlers of 2030, that circa 2030, were standing in the ring together, ready to take over this industry. And you know, I think everybody, you can make a case that Heyman would believe that for each of them. Why would Heyman bring in Theory if he didn't see him as a potential star? Obviously, Theory sort of forced his way in, auditioned, but it wasn't like storyline-wise, Heyman didn't recruit him. That's the canon is Theory just offered up his services, and then and Heyman accepted after proving himself last week. So, but it's I mean, you want to. I think fans like wrestlers when they're on journeys, and oh, that's the goal. Let's see if you can accomplish it without setback, without egos clashing. So, that's a lot of talking points on Theory. Go ahead and give me your kind of top things coming out of tonight's show, Paul.
Well, I love I have to admit, I hadn't considered for a moment that Theory was an agent of Seth Rollins, but I find the idea intriguing. I like it. It certainly would explain some subtle connections, like him using Seth Rollins' stomp for no discernible reason, and adopting that as his own. But I really liked how Heyman set them up as the WrestleMania main eventers 5 years from now. Sort of gave some context to what this whole vision is supposed to be exactly, which has been hinted at, but rarely stated outright. I noticed the Vision had a new logo this week, and Breaker took point when they came out together. But yeah, I thought that they were trying to show a little bit of chemistry backstage between them. There was a lot of "I've got your back," but almost a throwaway line after Theory acknowledged his tribal thief. Breaker said, sort of half under his breath, he said, "Watch your shoes," or "Keep an eye on your shoes." So
that's funny.
I thought that was a lot of fun. So, So as far as Theory's presentation, it seemed a little bit generic. He's got the black trunks and the rock music, but he looked good. And certainly he's been working on his physique and his intensity. He doesn't look like a joke. He looks pretty serious. So I think overall a good outing for Austin Theory.
Yeah, I think they're going for, strip him down of the frivolity and the dopiness, and have him be this. The term I used last week on a couple podcasts was silent assassin. He's just focused on proving he's not a joke. He's focused on proving himself to the Vision, and now continue so he can get accepted into the group, and now prove he belongs and do his job. But like I said, there's nothing about him that has been gregariously thankful and grateful that Heyman has accepted him, or that Breaker and Reed are saying, "Hey, welcome," or Logan. Like, it's not like if I just think, okay, what do they want us to look back on in 6 weeks or 6 months if it plays out that Theory leaves the group or turns on the group, or was always planning to first infiltrate and then turn on them? How do they want us to look back and go, okay, they didn't flag it obviously, but nothing they did was inconsistent with that being the I don't want to say vision, the plan. And so far so good if that's the case. But like I said, I also like the idea that Theory is trying to strip away anything that reminds people of him when he didn't seem focused and serious. And the issue that I think a lot of people are hung up on with him is he didn't seem like a serious person. He's good natural athlete, good physique, good athleticism, but he didn't seem like a serious person. So are they going overboard and stripping away anything that's interesting or distinct about his personality by having him be this staring straight ahead silent assassin, or is that a necessary stage to go through now? Or is it part of telling the story, which is he's not going to pretend to be buds with the bronze. Like he's like he can't fake that. He's just going to be a straightforward guy. So I don't know. I mean, does he not have it in him to show range, or has he been instructed not to show range? And if so, is that a good or bad decision? And are we making too much of the fact that he's not showing range? If he sits there and looks fierce and serious, walk into the ring, and then he goes out there and he, dominates Ray and looked, good enough last week. I don't know. I mean, we're 2 matches in. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I think you're onto something. I think that Austin Theory has enough range to show, his time in the way in NXT, and he's played a few different characters. So I think the fact that he hasn't shown all that much enthusiasm for the group, he paid lip service to everyone, saying he was happy to be there, but you sure weren't feeling it. So again, this really makes your idea of him as a double agent pretty attractive, or I should say, as an agent of Seth Rollins, pretty attractive. And also the fact that he came on right at the same time as Logan Paul. It did seem kind of odd. Like, why do you need both of them unless they both have different stories to tell? So again, I like the idea.
Yeah. Derek Mitchell goes, I agree with Wade. Austin is a plant within the vision and will be aligned with Seth Rollins. Jay in Hartford goes, they need to explain why Theory is using the stomp. And it's like, it's something that's there, but they haven't drawn attention to. And that makes me a little suspicious. Mm-hmm. Like Heyman drew attention when the idea was, who is it? And Heyman goes, oh, it's Seth Rollins. And he was being sarcastic about it, but, and then he said it's Bruno Sammartino, mm-hmm. but he was acknowledging that was speculation. And so can the story be Theory was trying to throw people off by doing the stomp, but it's not really don't read into it more than that. He just thought, throw people off the scent, or just an effective move. Or is it portending something where people go back and go, oh, why didn't I think of that? He's using the stomp because Seth taught it to him and he was trying to, plant a seed and make people feel foolish for not thinking about it. Derek Mitchell says, Theory was a great base for Ray. As a former wrestler, Derek is taking some of those head scissors versions as next level. With that said, Theory should be more selfish. Make the match more about him. Yeah, it's tough. Like, Ray's a good opponent because Ray is short, and Theory's not super tall. So it helps Theory look physically intimidating because that's like when he's standing next to Braun Breaker, and even Logan Paul's pretty tall. You don't want Theory to look like a junior heavyweight among heavyweights like Bronson Reed and this powerhouse football build of Braun Breaker. In Theory, has more of a slender's a relative term here, but more of a bodybuilder, slender waist type guy. And then Logan Paul's just tall and lanky, but also obviously has some muscle. So how does he seem physically imposing, or what is going to be the selling point to what makes Theory worthy of being in the same conversation as the other three who have proven themselves in various different ways as main event acts? And that's something that they got to figure out. So Derek's comments, like from a worker standpoint, there's some good stuff there. But, I think the concern last week, and we talked about the post show and now tonight, is even in dominating Ray, is he vicious enough? Does he look, he doesn't need to be Gunther, he doesn't need to be Brock Lesnar, but what is going to be the selling point that this is a future WrestleMania main eventer if he's just sort of not going back and forth with Ray, but he was vulnerable to losing to Ray, and they didn't give him a win over Ray. And the DQ from Logan came when it looked like Theory was in trouble, and the announcers underlined that Theory might have lost to Ray. There's no shame in losing to Ray, but Ray is not, a top world title contender at this point. So in a way, though, that maybe keeps people from thinking, they're shoving Theory down our throats and they're over pushing him. Mm-hmm. They're kind of easing him in as a guy who's just going to be competitive with other wrestlers who are at that level. I don't disagree with that, but I get the concern that maybe it's not making a statement early on that, given Theory's past, might need to be made. Derek adds, I also think Theory should change the cadence of his heat. Instead of methodical, I do a flurry of aggressive heat followed by a devious admiration of his work. I was thinking about that. Like, attacking at the bell is one thing, but having something about his style that is different than Breaker. Breaker's that fast-running, hard-hitting. Reed, obviously just the size and the tsunami. In Logan Paul, this just crazy gifted athlete who's just obnoxious, but just really gifted. So what makes Theory threatening? Yeah. So anything you want to add to that, Paul?
Yeah, they certainly focused on his physique. He comes out there posing looking like Bobby Lashley when really he doesn't that's not his greatest strength, even though he is looking pretty good.
It's what Vince McMahon liked about him.
Yeah. Oh, is that right? All right.
I mean, Vince chose him. It was one of his chosen ones, and kind of had that cut physique where Vince you're working on the right muscles. Look at that. Anyway, don't want to.
Wouldn't be out of character right now. For sure.
Yeah.
So I don't think they've really defined him. I like the ideas of finding ways to make himself stand out in ring. Although again, it's possible if they are going to have him sort of turn on the group, that he might be leaving himself relatively undefined, and that might be one reason that they didn't give him what many fans would have expected to be a win over Rey Mysterio in his first singles match. So that was a little bit surprising to me that he not only didn't he win, he really looked like he was about to lose. So not what you would expect for sort of someone at a top level in their first singles match.
If it looks in a meta sense, that in Braun Breaker's whole character is meta, I'm going to be a WrestleMania main eventer, and I'm going to prove that I can cut a promo. And I wrote about this in my report tonight at PWTorch. Like, there's just too much meta. I'll get into the Breaker Punk stuff, because I think that's a whole section unto itself on tonight's show. But with the meta side of how people watch this in a meta sense is, are they hedging on Theory? Are they, if Theory can't even get a tainted 3 count on Rey, let's say, even if Logan's providing a distraction or something, they didn't even give a 3 count to Theory. It was a DQ. In a meta sense, what does that say? Are they not convinced yet that he's someone they want to even invest in a win over Rey? Or is it enough to have him dominate, but then get the heel heat on him that he isn't, Rey's a sympathetic, credible legend? Is that just meant to get heel heat on them? But I mean, at some point, you want Theory to look like he can just dominate and win one-on-one against someone credible. Now, we'll see. A few other reader comments, and then I want to talk about the poll we did before we shift away from Austin Theory here. But as has been the case since Theory was revealed as a guy, lots of interest in talking about this in the chat. Sadler version 3 said the result was meh for me. I think he should have won to legitimize his turnaround and seriousness. That is definitely a concern. Mark Biscotti says Theory reminds me of a young Randy Orton with his current character. Sadler version 3 says the height difference between Theory and Logan stood out to me. I didn't think Logan was that much taller. Yeah, I think Theory's coming across as smaller than he seemed in the past, and part of the reason for that, because he was smaller than John Cena, but it didn't seem like by a lot. But he was originally in NXT like around Johnny Gargano a lot. Gargano was small. He's one of the smaller guys who's been real active in the main mix. So Theory, kind of have it in your head, the guy's maybe 6'3", and it's like, no, he's 5'11" or something. Like he gives off that 5. I don't know how much that matters, but you have to figure out if he's going to be an average size guy, and Logan is billed as tall, he comes across as tall. Although in the backstage segment, I don't know if they were on a platform and Logan was standing behind it, but they kind of deliberately, I think, tried to make Theory and Logan look the same size when Logan stood up. And they do platforms to try to even people out backstage. So it's not, the height difference isn't real obvious, even though you can't do that in the ring when there's a wide shot. But yeah, there's a height difference there. And again, Theory's gimmick isn't he's huge. It should be he's a really good athlete. But if he's a heel, you don't want to talk about what a good athlete he is. Anyway, so yeah, some things still in progress here. Jay in Hartford says Theory did chuckle slightly after he acknowledged the tribal thief, and then Braun said something like, watch your shoes. Not a big deal, but it was nice to see him loosen up, even if only for a second. And then Jay in Hartford adds, but I am a fan of serious Theory. I don't think it's a lack of range. I think this is intentional, because he's been such a not serious character in the past. I do think there's something here where they're trying to wipe the slate clean for him and not have people go, he's still a goof. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As far as size goes, Derek Mitchell says all the members of the Division except Logan Paul are 6 feet or shorter, even though they're listed as taller. CM Punk's pompadour makes him look taller than Braun. And he adds that theory Braun and Bronson are around 6 feet. And yeah, they're all around 6 feet in boots. But again, that shouldn't matter much, but you got to have something. What is theory? What makes theory a threat? Storyline wise. And in canon, we know Breaker, we know Reed, we know Logan. So they got to establish that.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned the poll earlier today. I said, how do you feel about Austin Theory's new prominent role? Firmly against, somewhat in favor, or firmly in favor? Right now, it is tipping towards in favor of the push right now. 33% said somewhat in favor, 22% said firmly in favor. So we're at 55% there. And so that means 45% are against it, 25% somewhat against, 20% firmly against. And I think this makes sense. It wouldn't have shocked me if it was 45-55 the other way. Paul, if I didn't read the results and said, how do you think people are voting for in favor or against Theory getting this prominent of a push over the last few weeks, and really even before that as a mask guy, do you think it would have been 90-10, 80-20, 70-30, or do you think a close split leaning one way or the other is what you would have thought?
Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit surprised. I myself am kind of excited to see Theory in this role, and I think he's done a fine job so far, showing that he belongs. I don't think it's an impossible sell. Like, I'm a little worried that selling Maxime Dupree as an MMA threat is actually a harder sell than this. So. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit surprised. I think.
So you think it would have been tilted
guessed,
more?
That more would be willing to give him a chance.
There you go. Yeah. So you're surprised it's only 10% lead in favor of. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that. Go vote, everybody. Yeah. Go vote in the poll. It's at PWTorch, our website, and the poll is going to be open for a while here. Yeah. So, but it's not. I mean, people who don't like Theory will think, it should be lopsided, 85-15 against. I think the poll results show there's different opinions on this, and it's spread out. And so I think if you're WWE, you would like to think people are open-minded, but I also think people in WWE think there's something that can happen here, but they're also waiting to see it happen. This is not, I think there's legitimate belief that it's worth a try. I think there's legitimate thoughts that it might be a 4 or 5 month storyline, and then we kind of cut bait. It really, Theory's the booking has to support him, but Theory's got to really step up. And it's not that he's not going to try, but you have to, he has to look believable when he's serious and intense. And because that seems to be what they're going for, kind of the silent assassin. He can't look like he's just pasting on a mean face or an intense face, but in reality, he's just telling himself funny little jokes. He's trying to just, he's faking it. So that's a key for him. It seemed to me a key for him is be credible in coming across as a top guy to offset the previous image people have of him, or even it's just a first-time viewer just goes, what's this guy doing in there with these other 3 badasses? You got to make sure it doesn't come across even that way to a new viewer. But I mean, so far I'm fine with it. I'm not blown away. But I'm genuinely fine with it. I'm sort of like Braun Breaker. Is he going to be the next WrestleMania centerpiece main eventer? I'm not convinced of that yet either. I think he's good. We'll pivot to the Punk Breaker segment here now. I think he's doing fine. I think he is a rising star. But are they trying too hard to tell us that he is? And has that worked in the past? The next big thing, Brock Lesnar. It's something that they do. The chosen one, Drew McIntyre. Are they pushing too hard, and will there be resistance, or is that smart strategy for a guy who, you're on the roster? Paul, what do you think about that as we pivot to the CM Punk Breaker segment?
Yeah, so I do share your ambivalence, or I do think the jury's out on Breaker and whether he's really going to be all that. We've seen others that were purported to be the next big thing. I mean, Drew McIntyre was the chosen one, and then that kind of never really went anywhere. Or at least it took a few years for him to mature as a performer before it did. So I thought that Breaker gave a good promo this week. He garbled his syntax as usual, but he got his point across, and he sounded intense and believable. And although I was a little bit disappointed that Joe Tessitore brought a little bit too much attention to it, saying "red hot stick work," which is something that that maybe you and I should be talking about, but it doesn't seem like it's something that should be that our announcers should be evaluating and rating someone's promo ability.
Yeah, this is not American Idol.
Yeah.
Like this isn't, watch the wrestlers and decide if they're worthy of main event status. They are auditioning for you. Have they entertained you enough and properly? If not, boo the booker when he comes out after the match to disagree with his finish. I just think they should be running from that, Paul.
Yep. Yeah, agreed. Just even him bring even for a couple weeks there, we hear Breaker draw attention to how great his promo was, even while he was delivering it, and to say that that he threw down a real challenge or really got him with some zingers, that's fine. That's what you do, but not evaluating his performance on the mic. He's there. Purportedly he's a wrestler, not a speaker.
I would have much rather had Braun Breaker a couple weeks ago say, CM Punk, you told me backstage that I can't cut a main event promo. You want to know how much I care about cutting a main event promo? Mm-hmm. In Braun Breaker's whatever words he'd use. Not at all. I am not here like you to try to score points with social media posts and get likes. And I don't want to be promo of the year in some meaningless poll. My job is to break people in half and destroy every opponent and be a young and dominant champion that defines an era. And I do not care if people think that I'm not witty enough or that I don't hold their attention as long as you have during your long-winded self-serving kind of wacko promos over the decades, as we've gone to therapy sessions with you in different places at different times. Whatever. I mean, I don't mean to like that I'm workshopping this. You know what I mean? But like, you got my point. Like, I want to break it and go, I don't care if you think I'm a main event promo, because that does not matter. That doesn't matter. Maybe it matters in the previous regimes, and it's like, you can't stop me. You know what? If I couldn't string two sentences together, I'm going to win every one of my matches. I'm going to be a WrestleMania main eventer with or without that. Even that might be more meta than I want to get into, but if you're going to go meta and address Punk saying, can you cut a main event promo? Breaker's attitude should be, I don't give a flying. And instead it was, look, I just did it. Yay, pat me on the back, everybody. I proved that I can cut a promo. I think it's a miscalculation, and I think it plays into something that I firmly believe, and I'm talking a lot about this right now, and it's because of John Cena, a lot of what they've been doing with him. Stop telling the audience on show in canon that the job of the wrestlers or the company is to entertain them. That's not, the fans will be entertained by you not trying to entertain them, but just putting on a damn good wrestling show with titles that matter and feuds that matter and wrestlers who they like and dislike against each other so they can root for an outcome. And it seems like it matters, and start doing credible finishes, do more clean finishes, do more brave booking, break up pins where it looks like you really break them up, tag wrestlers for real, have submission holds where people know how to apply them. Memo to Nikki Bella. She learned that from John Cena, obviously. There's things you can do to entertain fans without pathetically asking, have we entertained you tonight? That just strips away anything. So anyway, I don't want to go on that rant again, but that is coloring, I think, making me more negative on the approach Braun Breaker is taking. And the key line tonight that I groaned at was, I'm not the shiny new toy. And that implies, that goes back to Sheamus. And John Piermarini brought it up. I don't know if the term had been used before that. Maybe it had, but I don't know if it did. John Piermarini, when he left WWE, as a writer back in 2010, was talking about Sheamus and how Sheamus was known by Vince McMahon as a shiny new toy. Like, oh, like here's this guy, he's big and he's tough, and he reminds me of somebody we'd push in 1978. And so he was the shiny new toy to play with. And so that term, I believe, had not been introduced as kind of a thing that people talked about in wrestling until then. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I really thought that's kind of the first that I'd heard that, and it started getting used a lot over the last 15 years since then. I don't need Braun Breaker talking about that, because that, in the context of a promo, makes it sound like they're pushing me because he's saying they're not pushing me because I'm not a shiny new toy, but you're acknowledging that wrestlers get pushed because they're shiny and new. And that shouldn't have anything to do with whether you main event WrestleMania. You main event WrestleMania because you win a championship and defend it, or you win the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber and earn a spot. The shiny new toy should not be in the canon of WWE discussions unless there's something super specific that where it works, and it's like, I don't even know, like a heel GM playing favorites with a woman that he has a crush on, like something like that. Like, then you can go, oh, you're the shiny new, whatever. But even then, it's a struggle for me. I just think you should stay away from that. So I wish you didn't do that.
Can you imagine a Darth Vader sort of one of the Star Wars movies bragging that he is a, intimidating and mysterious villain? I mean, it just would never happen, and it shouldn't happen here. So I totally agree.
Yeah. So I think CM Punk is in a comfort zone right now on promos, and sometimes comfort zone gets used negatively. It might have a negative connotation. I do not mean it that way here. CM Punk, it looks, given his history, there's times he looks uncomfortable in his own skin, or he's trying not to be grumpy, or he just is how he is. If he's feeling happy, he's happy Punk, like when he signed with AEW. I'm here to work with young guys, and I want to be the coach and the mentor and have people look up to me, and I give them advice and make new stars. It's like, that's not the Punk AEW fans wanted. I mean, they loved him, but it's like, we want you to be ambitious and want to win a title, not question whether you're good enough to win a title. Punk's the guy right now in a comfort zone where he doesn't seem like he's pretending or faking. It seems like, I'm a world champion. I'm good enough to be champion. I take pride in the role of being champion. This belt, and I liked him laying the belt down in front of Breaker and going, this belt is heavier than it seems, Braun. And I don't mean just in terms of pounds. I mean the pressure of being champion carries some weight. And I like when that gets talked about. Because, it's like Cody QP1. They play into that. I remember asking Hangman Page after he won the AEW title, and I asked him at the media Q&A afterwards, like, you're going to show up to Dynamite feeling different now that you're champion. There hadn't been many AEW champions at that point. And he's like, hadn't really thought of that. And I was like, how could you not have thought about that? Like, the history of the business is the guy who walks in with the title, it's not a prop. And I like Hangman, but it's like, the history of this business is the guy who carries the belt legit behind the scenes carry some weight, thus the John Cena stuff. Thanks for the house. Thanks for the house. Thanks for the ticket revenue that I'll get a cut of, that Glenn Jacobs and Cody mentioned when talking about John Cena. That is a thing. And Punk is talking about that. And it's not meta. It's canon. When you're the champ, you are walking in as the best male wrestler. You've proven that, and you can turn that into storyline besides, the stuff that it really came. It was something that Shawn Michaels talked a lot about when he won the WWF title. He's like, oh God, I got to do all these appearances now. And he didn't begrudge it. It was just like, a lot comes with being champion. You are representing this company. You're the face of the brand when you're champion. When people who are casually watching, they see, oh, he's the champion. He must be the best. Let me scrutinize him. That's what Punk says the way to being champion is. And he's kind of throwing at Breaker in a way that's less meta than you can kind of main event promo. I don't know if you're ready for this. So I like that. I don't think there was much that Breaker said that was heelish, though. It's not a concern of mine. It's just, I'm just observing, I had to live up to a higher standard than you could ever imagine. I didn't pay my dues on the indies, but I shared a field with Lamar Jackson. So we aren't the same. He's not demeaning Punk. He's just, he's kind of snide about the indie thing, but he's responding to people being snide about him not paying his dues, working in front of 300 people, driving 300 miles for a $300 or $30 payoff, like a lot of guys talk about. And Breaker's like, I didn't really need to do that. But he's saying,
So looks like we lost Wade for a second. So while he comes back on, I'm gonna weigh in. I think that this promo from Punk was fantastic. I think he is really hitting his stride in the last couple weeks. And my favorite part of the promo, I did. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around. This strap is heavy. You're not ready for the responsibility. Hard for me to imagine how that works in a non-meta sense. But him saying, I didn't say you're not ready. I said, I'm not ready. I am not ready to give up this this title. That really resonated with me. So I think I wasn't really particularly excited for this Punk title reign, but I think he's doing so fantastic. I'm actually a little bit worried that he is going to drop the belt next week.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's why I say Punk looks comfortable. I think people like to see Punk comfortable in his own skin with confidence in what he's doing. In the ring, he slowed down, and some people are observing that. Some ex-wrestlers are. But it's not the biggest deal in the world. If you slow down, you can still be a drawing card. The idea is, do you carry yourself with gravitas or the fans into your story? I mean, in this era, Punk can look a little bit older, and he's not bad. It's just like it's not quite there the way it used to be. But sometimes people have a bad day or they're a little under the weather or whatever. It's just like the body of work here of Punk as champion might not be long. He might lose the title next week, but we'll see. Derek Mitchell says, I think it seems likely Breakker will win the title. I like CM Punk, but I'm not a fan of the world champion being as old as Nick Bockwinkel. Nick Bockwinkel's AW champ. He deep into his 40s, into his 50s. So was Vern Gagne. That was not uncommon, especially in the territories with the drawing cards. But Punk does, his face is aged. He looks like somebody who's been through a lot and stressed out and lost sleep and woken up to early alarms on plane flights and had sleepless nights, being upset about things in AEW and being upset about things in WWF and being upset with the Blackhawks sucking for a while. They got some good young players now. They should be fine. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Punk's in a spot. I'm enjoying CM Punk right now, his promos, his demeanor, and that means more to me. That more than makes up for him not being. He should stop talking about being best in the world in a meta sense. Like, I'm saying a little bat signal to the hardcore fans that I'm the best wrestler and I have the best matches. Just go all storyline on us now, and be you're the best you're the best in the world because you're the world champion. But kind of like Chris Jericho, you age out of the double meaning being I'm the best in-ring performer. Kyle Fletcher can make that case right now. CM Punk should make a different kind of case. He can be savvy and he is the most successful and whatever, but let's stay away from that kind of the meta stuff. But yeah, I thought Punk was great last week, and I thought he was really good standing opposite of Breakker, and I think he's good for Breakker. And I thought Breakker was good. I thought he was solid here tonight. I have no complaints about Breakker. Any critique I have of Breakker is just a pushback against the meta storyline that I am against even introducing, that says, look at this main event guy. He's a total package with looks and intensity and his family history and his lineage, and now his promos. Just stop that. Just have him be dominant and win. Tell a sports story.
Yeah. Agreed.
Sean,
and Punk, I think, looks a little bit older. Sorry, go ahead.
Continue, Paul.
Yeah. So Punk, I think, looks a little bit older than his chronological age. Perhaps, like you mentioned, he's been stressed out a lot. But it's interesting to compare with Rey Mysterio, who's just remarkable. How well he still belongs in a way that I don't think anyone could really question in the same way that they might question Punk. Punk has really lost a step in the ring, but geez, Mysterio just looks phenomenal. What a treasure he is.
Yeah. Adam Kidd says, I just wish Punk was better in the ring. So yeah, I mean, but you're sometimes you're a draw and you're compelling, but you got to adjust your style as the wear and tear takes a bit of a toll. Sean Plichta in the chat says, I think Breakker should win only because he's the new up-and-comer, but these last two Punk promos have been so good. Kyle comment here from Jay in Hartford. As we talk about guys winding down, I wouldn't mind if Punk was champ through Mania and then done altogether. I know. I think Punk's got, a couple more years at least in him. And, it's going to be AJ's time, maybe Ray's time. But Gunther and Punk, Gunther's going to want to retire Punk at some point, perhaps, with this storyline with Gunther, retiring Goldberg and Cena. And now AJ's probably next. And then, maybe Rey Mysterio. We'll see. Sean also goes, Braun's promos have been very good. Yeah. And Sean says, tonight's was very good because he was looking right at Punk and it made it feel more real. And Punk has been fine in the ring. He's been fine. But this guy who's best in the world and his fans, consider him and rely on him for main event, high quality main event wrestling. He's not in there because of his physique. He's there because he can talk first and foremost, and his whole persona, but having good matches is a big key to this. So yeah, we'll see. Derek Mitchell points out the ages of champs. Frankie Kazarian at 48 is the current oldest world champ, heading into 2026. CM Punk is 47, Cody's 40, MJF 29. So AEW winning the battle of the youngsters. Derek Mitchell goes, CM Punk might be having a Ronnie Garvin type title reign, holding him out for 2 months. He might lose his first title defense against Breakker. And Sean says, yeah, this match next week will tell us a lot about him. And Mark Biscotti says, if Punk wins, what's his spot in WrestleMania? If Breakker wins, what's his spot at WrestleMania? They hopefully have that figured out. If Punk faces Roman, Punk has to win. If not, he'll likely lose. Yeah, the fun of moving parts. I know there's going to be reports out there, show-off reporting that might be inside information. They might be real. It might be accurate at the moment and change. Or it could be someone drawing conclusions and wanting to act like they're ahead of the curve on everything and have inside sources. I ignore all that stuff. And as people know, if you're new to us, we don't talk about spoilers that are out there in terms of who's going to win the Rumble, who's going to mean what the lineup for WrestleMania is. I don't want to see the last page of the script or the last scene of a TV series that I'm invested in. I want to watch things in order. And I'm just kind of look down upon any kind of reporting that broadcasts. Here's what my inside information tells me is the murderer that's going to be revealed in the last scene of a movie you're in line to buy tickets for. I just think that's antiquated. It's show-off reporting, and it doesn't do any good. So if you hear that I'm saying, as we talk about what's going to happen next, first of all, it's not always accurate. Two, I'm not going to talk about it. Just like I tried not to focus as much as I could on Gunther being the guy who was going to win. It'd be seen as opponent and win the tournament. Let's just let it play out and always keep an open mind that things change or reports are wrong. And Real Legend goes, I agree, Wade. That's why I usually only go to you for news. Cool. So I just throw that out there because as we kind of speculate, it's a lot more fun to speculate for the next month about what's going to happen at the Rumble than to sit here and talk about what I am reporting the plans are. And we don't even like that being brought up in the chat. I think this should be a spoiler-free environment especially as we head into WrestleMania season. I kind of say this every year. Let's just tone down on that stuff here and let's watch it play out, especially because it's more fun to not know. All right. Anything else on Punk and Breakker?
I totally agree. Yeah. It's great to know that I can listen to your podcast, Wade, and not be worried that I'm going to hear something that is going to ruin my enjoyment. So I greatly appreciate that.
And I will say, I don't think knowing what's going to happen should ruin the enjoyment. What it ruins is an aspect of watching without not knowing what's going to happen. And it takes away a lot of the conversation, which I think is a natural fun part of wrestling, which is watching and going, this could happen. And would that be smart? What if this happens? That'd be smart. There's a bunch of possibilities WWE's going to throw out there. And they're just, it's fun to explore all of them rather than go in going, are they doing a good job making me think something is different going to happen than what I know is being reported is going to happen? Anyway, Real Legend says, I'm still saying Sammy is winning the Rumble. So there we go. All right. By the way, Ashley, if you attended tonight, you want to call in. The call-in link is on my report at PWTorch, and you can also email the show, and I can send you the link if you want to call us in since you just went. It's always in my TV report. I know some people maybe skip past my table setting and introductions and all that. If your time is limited, you hit the best word button. But if you want to call into the show, I say it every single week. The link is in my TV report at PWTorch, and I always include it. And everybody's invited to give us a call if you want to be part of the show. it's fun to hear from different people. And Ashley says she will. So we'll be hearing from an on-site correspondent here, which is very cool. All right, let's hit on some other topics from tonight's show. In no particular order, you mentioned Maxine Dupree and her promo and her makeover, training with Natalia. What do you think of this, Paul? We haven't talked since she got all serious and credible, and then keep talking about Becky's promo and the dynamic that they have playing off each other. I'm really enjoying Becky right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Becky is a treasure. It seems she can do no wrong in my book. Always entertaining. And Maxine really needs a veteran like Becky to help kind of carry a segment. I just think that we've seen Maxine as the lovable loser for so long that to have her transformed as sort of this badass MMA fighter, it's a lot. It's a lot for us to be expected to digest. Now I think Maxine did fine. I mean, I think she kind of won the crowd over. And again, Becky makes such a fantastic heel. She had a lot of great lines. If you get rich and famous, then you'll get to leave. You'll get to leave this town too, like I did. And I like how the story is that Becky is doubting that Maxine is legitimate, right? And that she's kind of a proxy for the viewer, right? We're kind of wondering also. So if the story is that Maxine gets to show that she belongs, she not only if she proves it to Becky, then she proves it to the fans as well. So I do think that Becky's working hard to make this happen, and I think she's largely being successful, even maybe more so than she was with Lyra Valkyria, who really struggled to kind of to deliver a promo in the ring on her own.
Yeah, I think, some of the same thing could be said about Maxine Dupree. That said about Austin Theory. They're very different situations, but there's a similarity of in a much more compressed amount of time, Maxine was a joke. She wasn't someone you would take seriously. I like Becky addressing it and saying, that you've improved a smidgen, like she had trouble articulating a compliment. And I thought in a, delightfully entertaining way, honestly, that it was, very tough for her to get it out of her mouth, but she did think, that, there's something there that wasn't there before with her. She said, I want to give you credit. And then I loved, what the owning the line and putting it out there. When I first saw you, I thought you were awful and terrible and the worst thing I've seen. And you've gotten, and I love this, a tiny bit better than that. A tiny bit better.
Yep.
Restaurant review.
And understating it was so great. Because it made the viewer kind of wanted to rush to her defense and say, no, she's more than just a tiny bit better, which was really smart.
And in a meta sense, you're also going, oh, WWE knows how bad she was. Like they're kind of owning that. But I guess if you're leaving a review about a new pizza joint and you go, well, the first time I went, it was the worst pizza I've ever had. I went back, it was a tiny bit better. Like, I don't think that's an endorsement, but it's totally perfect for Becky because she's going to say, look at how gracious I am, kind I am. I'm giving out a compliment. But in reality, not. And I love too, she goes, you're a tiny bit better because you were able to get away with stealing a title. And that's not nothing. But Dupree stood her ground and said, the only thing I stole is your spotlight. And you know what? She's actually coming across as maybe delusionally so, but genuinely confident in herself right now. It's an interesting experience. I did not predict they would decide to take the hapless Dupree and Maxine Dupree and turn her into this, like try to turn her in a few weeks with some vignettes into a serious badass. So jury's still out on whether it's going to work, but I mean, it's not ridiculous if you the way she's carrying herself doesn't make it seem as ridiculous as it could have. Yeah. All right, let's bring Ashley into the conversation. Ashley, you ready for us? All right, yeah, looks like she is. Ashley, welcome. Good. It's been. I was thinking about you a few weeks ago. Whatever happened to Ashley? So I'm glad you're here, talking to us.
Hey, what's up, Wade? Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, hear you good.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Paul. Hello. I always joke with my friends. It's so weird. Like you kind of feel like a creeper listening to like podcasts because I feel like I know you guys so well, and you like are like, who is this weirdo? You know what I mean? So it's just like a weird like concept. But I'm very happy to be able to jump on with you guys. Thank you for having me.
You felt that way too, then? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Well, so. What stood out to you on Raw? We'll get into specifics, but what do you get? Sometimes I've asked this to our on-site correspondents over the years. In 2 years, 3 years, like you look back, I remember that late 2025 Raw. What are you going to remember from it?
Yeah, man, honestly, it was just a feel-good show. It was honestly one of those shows where if I was watching live at home, I don't think it would have been anything too like outstanding or anything like, oh wow, like I'm definitely gonna remember this, like 6 months or a year later or whatever. But being there, you do get that kind of like unfair like leverage and advantage. It's like the Yeet thing. So I'll just kind of jump around a bit. And I'm sorry, Wade, I know you keep it a nicely structured show. Like the Yeet, I am so done with the whole Yeet thing, and I am right there with everyone else. Like, gosh, like can we just stop and move on? Like, I don't hate it, but when you're there, man, it's like it gets you. And I'm sorry, like I didn't fully Yeet, guys, but I was close. But yeah, it's very infectious being there.
Very good.
Probably just the overall show and yeah.
No, go ahead. Yep.
No, I'm sorry. I think there's a little bit of a delay. I have it connected.
There is. Yeah, I'm not sure what's up with that.
Sorry about that.
It's been happening. Yeah. We've been working through it. By the way, Sean says Ashley's one of the best, no doubt. You're getting some nice shout outs in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, and Sitwe says, go, Ashley. All right. So a few topics here. One, when the Vision came out, did it feel like this is a compelling main event group that the fans are on the edge of their seat listening to, or something different than that?
Man, like parts of them did. And honestly, what Punk said, not again to jump too far ahead, but to answer your question, parts of them did. Like honestly, like Braun Breaker, yeah, and obviously Paul Heyman by default, and possibly Bronson Reed, Austin Theory, and Wade. I was yelling at Todd with you. Like I went on. I don't know if it was this past week on the fix or the week before, but I am right there with you, man. I've been on the bandwagon with you. It's been you and me in that little wagon, Wade, since the beginning on Austin Theory, and I will ride there with you until the wheels fall off, man. Because I feel something's there. I'm not saying he's gonna be the next Rock or Cena or anything crazy, but I just feel like there's something there, man. So I think he's just one of those where they need to leave him with Heyman, give him time, and let him simmer. Again, I'm not gonna say he's gonna be the next big thing, no pun intended, but I mean, I think there's something there, and I just think you just gotta let it play out. Like as much as us wrestling fans hate hearing that, just let it play out.
I think when you're just portrayed as a dopey comedy figure doing goofy stuff with Grayson Waller and whatever, and if there's an upside, explore it. And that's what they're doing. And I think there's people who maybe don't watch the product weekly who are going to say, oh, here's 3 guys I'd push instead of him. But I think he's the right fit for this. Like I love Ethan Page, but this is the right role for him in this spot. I think Montez Ford 4 years ago might have been in this spot. I think they've lost faith that that's a goal of his, that has the determination and aspirations for. But I think Theory is they want him to be hungry for this. I think they've determined he is, but I don't think they're 100% sure. I mean, when you say you and I are on the bandwagon alone, I mean, I've had a whole array of co-hosts who have had various endorsements of trying more with Theory, and trying more with Theory doesn't mean, oh, he's my number 1 draft pick if I'm assembling a roster of all people in wrestling, or whatever. It's like there is a vast middle ground, and right now it's 55-45 in our PWTorch poll. people endorsing this push. They're somewhat or firmly in favor of it by a 55 to 45% margin. It's early in polling, but it's probably gonna settle right around there based on past patterns of voting. So I think people are just like, yeah, let's see. But it doesn't work. I think, okay, good, we tried. We can move on. But if they never tried this, I think that's where there'd be. But again, I don't think he's taking the spot from anybody else who clearly would be better in this spot than him. I think there's some people who would work in this spot. They're better off at a different spot. This is a good spot for him because he can be a lackey or a supporting guy or the guy who does jobs, or eventually he develops more of it broadens his personality. He's sort of obnoxious and he becomes, the Buddy Roberts or the Freebirds in a way or something like that. Or it's something much more and he breaks out as a babyface and he becomes a number 4 babyface in the company or something like that. So I think they're open to it and I think they're all exploring it together. Being in the building, Ashley, though, did it seem like he had any kind of aura about him, not only in the segment where he spoke with Heyman, but also the ring entrance and being in the ring with a legend like Ray with Logan at ringside?
Yeah, I feel it definitely did feel different than before, right? I have been at a show before all this, so there definitely is a different feeling for him. I think in the beginning of the show when they first came out, it was kind of that stereotypical like heel reaction, but as the night progressed, and I think, like I was saying, if they let it play out, I think they'll have a good outcome with it. I really do. Again, I'm not gonna say he's like gonna be like the number 1 heel or anything like that, but I think it'll be a solid utility player, like maybe like that upper main event, lower mid card guy that you need, who can take put on a good match. Kind of maybe not like at the level of a Drew McIntyre. I know people who hate Theory are gonna be like, what's going on, but like a rung or two below, a good solid, because he's great in the ring too. He almost runs into that issue where like a Seth Rollins, where like you want him to be a bad guy, but his moveset is such like a baby face almost. It's kind of, the more you watch him, the longer the match goes on, you might find yourself going 50-50 and rooting for him. But yeah, I think right now, if they keep him on that burner and keep it going, and especially being with Paul, I think that's going to be like that special sauce to keep your food analogies going.
And maybe, as we talked about earlier, actually, in the show, maybe they're overcompensating for him being a little bit of a dork or a goof or a dopey, maybe is the term you'd apply to him in the past. And they're dialing him down so much. So he's just, as I said last week, kind of a silent assassin. I'm just going to be focused and kind of expressionless. Does he, by backing away from something, now ease into something else? Did he have to kind of back out of that driveway to start driving into a new one instead of just hopping over a rail? And we can watch it happen in front of our eyes. That's the best case. Best is the strong word, but that's a good scenario. Let's dial it down. Let's hit the reset button. And now we're going to rebuild. It's like when you do a hard reset on your phone. You're like, I don't want any of that crap that's probably there. I'm not going to delete apps. I'm just going to start over as if it's a new phone, build it from the ground up. And that's kind of what we're seeing with him. It's just sort of not steal LA Knight's line, but a factory reset of Austin Theory. And so we'll see how it goes. Final thing on Theory, since you said you've been on his bandwagon, what in the past made you, Todd has asked this, like Todd Martin on The Fix, like why do you think it's worth pushing Theory? What do you say to the 45% who say it's unlike, well, actually, of the 45% who are giving a thumbs down, 25% out, or more than half of the people voting thumbs down on pushing him, or they're somewhat against it, say they voted for a thing that said, I get giving it a try. They just wouldn't have voted to do it, but they get it. But what do you say to skeptics who go, this is just a waste of time?
Well, first, if there's one thing about a poll that I like, is a poll with asterisks, because I love multiple answers. So to that, I would say, it reminds me of a young Chris Jericho. And this is, again, going to sound crazy. When Jericho first came over from WCW way back when, and I know it's completely different, right? Well, hear me out. The level, Jericho was already elevated a little bit more in WCW, and he kind of already had that, kind of like a C level or like a surface level of, okay, we know what he can do in the ring. He's kind of like that white meat baby face. Like, remember like when he came out and he had that top ponytail and he was just kind of like cringe, making all those faces, just corny, like cornball faces. It's like, what is this guy doing? And then he came over into WWF at the time, and I forget which DVD. I think it was like the Decoding of Jericho DVD that I watched way too many times. He had mentioned something when he went from WCW going into WWF. It was like walking into like the Wizard of Oz and going going from black and white and walking into like a land of color and being like, oh wow, and like wow, you know. And that's kind of how I feel with Theory. I feel like you just have to put him in the right pond and let him be like the big fish in it, and let him figure out like, hey, this is it. Like, and like you said last week, like I didn't think it was as like the first segment that he had with Heyman last week was that bad. Like, yeah, I think it was Nick Barbatti said that the tan jacket wasn't really, you know, maybe didn't look the part, but I kind of get like the silent assassin type vibes from him. Like I kind of feel like he went through all like the corny stuff to kind of like feel who he is. It's kind of like us going through middle school. Like if you saw some pictures of me in middle school, you'd be like cringe, right? Being like, okay, she kind of had to like morph through all this, you know. I'm still like trying to find the butterfly, you know what I mean? So I think it's kind of something like that with Theory. Because again, I think with especially in WWE, if you have the in-ring down and you're okay on the mic and you have the look and being like good in the ring is like 90% of it for them. They can work on the mic with you, and that's why they put him with Paul Heyman in my opinion. So just let it play out, and again, if it doesn't work out, then I'll be here in 5 years, guys, and I'll take all the pro for it. It's fine.
Paul, talking about 5 years from now, this is a big moment. The 4 future WrestleMania main eventers standing in the ring together. So let's apply the same to Braun Breaker. He's obviously further along on the path, getting a bigger push. He might win the world title next week, beat a legend and CM Punk. We talked earlier in the show, Ashley, and you were leaving the building, that there's a little bit too much meta here of Braun Breaker auditioning to be the top guy in his promos. Like we need to move away from wrestler, especially heel badass wrestlers begging the fans to see them as a top guy and please give me promo of the year, or please tell me that I've arrived as a promo and all that. Like stop that stuff. So I'm against that aspect of it. But the reality is he's auditioning to be perceived as a top guy. That's WWE is, for better or for worse, and I'd say worse, overtly having him campaign to be accepted as a top guy. I think he's doing well. How did it feel for you? Star power wise, presence. He's sharing the ring with Punk for most of that. But does he carry himself? I mean, it's sort of like the intangible with Theory. Like, I think there's something more there. Explore it. With Breaker, is there something there, Ashley, that feels, I think this guy could draw a stadium sellout crowd in the main event with his personality and his presence?
Yeah, man. And look, you can call me whatever. Like I have my Punk jacket on, so I'm definitely like a Punk gal, I guess. But I, as much as it pains me to say it, I feel like Breaker's the dude, man. So I'm conflicted on if I would pull the trigger next week though, or hold off a little bit more. To me, it really depends and banks on what they're doing with Seth and how Seth is. And I don't know if maybe you spoke about it before I jumped on. Like, do we know like how he is like timeline wise for Mania or anything, or not to be like like in the weeds or anything, but like have you heard if he's like do you think we'll get him back for Mania, or is it gonna be like an after Mania type of return for Rollins?
I think I don't know. I think it's around it. I'm also going to be hesitant to, just because of what they did last time with Seth. I think they're going to, it's sort of like Bianca Belair. He might or might not be ready. He might or might not come back as soon as he's ready because they want to ease him in where it makes sense storyline wise. So I haven't heard he's ruled out for WrestleMania. I can just say that. Yeah.
Okay. So like for me, I feel like Breaker is in a perfect world. I feel like if it was me, I would maybe let him cook a little bit longer. But if they're in a situation where they need something hot going into Mania, if they want Punk to be on the chase, if that's going to be like a kind of like the babyface being on the chase is more exciting type thing, right? Like the dog chasing the car or whatever. Yeah. But so if you want to do a route like that, then I could see them kind of making like a big thing. And it's the 1 year Raw on Netflix anniversary, which is crazy. So if they really want like a big pack, like almost cussed, but if they really want a big moment on Raw, then that would be a big deal, right? So especially with seeing how quick they were to pull the trigger on Stephanie Vaquer, because Stephanie, I was in the long run with Stephanie, the long game with Stephanie. I thought they should have had her wait until the Rumble, win the Rumble, go on the road to WrestleMania, and then go from there if they wanted her to win the title within the first year. I thought you still maybe could have had like a year, but that's with Naomi not getting injured, but getting pregnant, which is a great, no shame. But having to relinquish the title. They had to make a quick call there with Stephanie Vaquer. So I understand that a little bit more. So that's why I'm kind of fearful that they may feel like they're in a position where they have to put the title on Breaker now. But honestly, like if they do, as much as I love Punk, I won't be against it. I feel like Breaker is in a strong position. And like you said, like crap, like he really, like within the first year, like not many people have made an impact like he has. Granted, he hasn't won as many titles as like Kurt Angle did in his first year or Brock or anything like that. But I think if you really, really want to shock the system, like Undisputed Era days, do it, pull the trigger. And even if he doesn't go into Mania going in as your champion, that's fine. You still have time to, put the title on him, give him that, oh, you know what, feeling that, and if you're going to do it, and this is me, because I'm just like, if you're going to pull the trigger, pull that trigger as hard as you can. Like, if it was me, as much as I love Punk, I would have Breaker go out there and just demolish Punk. Just beat him to shreds. Have it like a 5-minute beatdown, 6-minute beatdown, maybe 95%. Have Punk maybe underestimate him a little bit and have Breaker really look like a bad ASS and go from there. So, yeah, sorry to be long-winded.
And you had Lesnar destroying Cena. Now you have Breaker destroying Punk, and now you got Breaker against Lesnar as a potential match that can be a marquee stadium show match. But you are a Punk fan, but you are saying, hey, Breaker passes the eye test for me, basically, in person.
Yeah. Sad but true.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So we had you brought up Vaquer. What was the crowd response for Nikki Bella, Raquel Rodriguez, Stephanie Vaquer?
Oh.
Talk about each of them and how that match held the audience's attention.
Bless Orlando. They were so confused when it came to Nikki Bella. Like they were so happy to see her. You would have thought she was born in Orlando or something. Like there were some moments in the match when they were chanting, "Let's go, Nikki!" And like I'm thinking, like, no, Stephanie's down too. Like, let's go, Stephanie. Like, no. And then like in my brain, because I think Stephanie is like Nikki's like real name, and then like I don't know, just kind of like I don't know, like it just small giggle. But there's a moment in the match when she blocked on what looked like the STFU, which I don't know if she did that intentionally or she's going for a different version of it, because it's kind of odd.
Yeah, that's her story.
Unless like it's none of my business. Like their personal life is obviously none of my business. But like I don't know if she was doing like a shout out to Cena, like thank you. I don't know, but like the fans loved it, and they started saying thank you Cena, which was again very I felt awkward for her. So love Nikki Bella. Began to like Stephanie more, and it's just so cringe. Like everyone's just waiting for the devil's kiss, and it's like, just grow up, people. Like, okay, we get it. Let's move on. So they got the devil's kiss, fine and dandy. And honestly, it was kind of weird though. Like the ending, like it kind of not came out of nowhere, but it was the finish where, like we just saw with MJF at World's End, where you have a multi-man, multi-woman match. One opponent gets the upper hand, the other person comes in, throws them out of the ring. Maybe we'll hit like MJF did with the Heat Seeker. Maybe they'll hit their move or just go for the 1, 2, 3. That's essentially what Stephanie did and got the victory there. So it's just kind of interesting because like I thought Raquel was the MVP of the match, to be honest with you. Like Raquel looked good out there, and she was obviously the bigger person out there and doing the heavy lifting. But I thought it was a fun match. But yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with Nikki though.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing what they're going to do with her. She's going to be a delusionally overly proud of herself heel by design, who everyone grits her teeth when she wrestles. She sort of, gets by, but there's going to be a cringe moment here and there. The goal is for people to boo her and not act, oh, here's a reality star, let's cheer her against her character, or worse, just be sort of ambivalent about her. We'll see how that goes. Paul, do you want to jump in with a question or topic for Ashley?
Sure. So the Orlando crowd seemed a little bit muted to me. Who did they really get excited about? Who did they really? Who got the biggest reaction? Besides, I did notice the Devil's Kiss got a big reaction. But who else was really over tonight?
Yeah, man. Like I said, it kind of did feel like just like a really amped up like live show. it was just like your stereotypical, like your punks. Probably CM Punk was like the most popular, and shame on WWE. They were selling. I just wanted to just kick them in the shin. They were selling John Cena merchandise in Orlando, knowing the dude is not going to be here. So they had parents out there buying Orlando, like literally Orlando, like John Cena was here, T-shirts for kids, and the dude ain't going to be here. And it's like, come on, like I don't know. I just thought that was kind of grimy, but yeah, pretty much Punk was like the biggest draw. And the Usos, I would say besides Punk, Jay is maybe going to be that merch heavy guy still. Maybe no matter whatever happens with him, you're always going to see like that little 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old kid running around with all yeet everything. So yeah, probably the Usos. I had actually gone out into the corridor to see what they had merch wise, and that's when I saw the Blasphemy Orlando shirt. And as I was walking back, the Usos were coming like from the far end of the hall to get ready for their entrance, which they do like 10 minutes in advance, just a decent amount of time. But man, that security does not play. Little kids included. No, you are not sneaking a picture. You're not doing any of that. But all like before the show and after the show, there was no woos, no whats. It was all yeets, which is sad for my soul.
How about AJ Styles or Rey Mysterio in terms of or Truth, even babyface pops?
R-Truth kind of like that, just like he warms our heart type of reaction type thing. Mysterio did get a good reaction. Penta got a good surprise reaction. Yep. I was pissed. I was trying to still make my way through when his music hit, so I missed that portion. But they definitely super excited to see Penta.
Paul, do you want to bring up anything else?
So I do appreciate how you admitted, Ashley, that you were eating along with the crowd. I imagine there must be really something about that entrance lot just doesn't quite translate to the viewer, who were never quite as the crowd seems to be. What I wanted to ask was, how excited was the crowd Usos winning the title? Did that send everyone home happy?
Yeah, I think I pretty much got it. The Usos, winning, sending the crowd home happy. Essentially, that was the question, right? I think I got it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You broke up a little, Paul, but yeah, did the tag team title change send the crowd home happy, even though they beat a babyface team?
Yeah, and again, that was interesting as well, because there was one moment in the match where Jimmy had hit his splash and went for the 3 count, and AJ kicked out, and the fans booed, and Jake looked like he got pissed or more upset than he maybe should have. And so that's what I was saying earlier. I don't see this reign being too terribly long for them. I see this as like a crutch for something else, which I guess everything normally is. But it was interesting though, because Jay just is showing more signs of anger, and I think building up kind of throughout the night. I think there was a video package or a segment backstage I did miss, but I overheard him saying like something like he was doubting himself if they were actually going to win the titles or something to that effect. So there was a little kid sitting beside me. He was just thrilled as can be that they ended up winning. But yeah, like I kind of expected it, because I kind of figured, like I said, something's going to be happening in the future. But it just felt like one of those things where I was like, okay, cool, like we're happy in the moment, but like what's the catch type of thing. Because again, Jay just didn't seem as happy as organically happy as Jimmy felt, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely telling that story. The question is, the story just simply Jay just is happy being in a tag team and everyone can be happy for Jay, or more likely is something about that going to manifest and what will trigger it? Kavanti Smalls wants to know, how was Rhea Ripley's reaction?
Oh, that's my gal. Got my Rhea shirt on. You can't really see it. The Terrifier shirt, and I have creeper lighting in here. But oh, dude, it was Rhea it's so annoying what they've been doing this whole year with Rhea. Like it's like someone is trying to hand you a pot of gold, like rare gold, and you're like, can we pour maybe a little bit of silver on it, maybe put a little bit of bronze? It's like, why are you trying to mess up a beautiful thing? Like, Rhea is male or female, that human being is a star, and you are putting an umbrella over someone who doesn't need any shade. It's like, why? Like, why? Again, I want to kick in the shit. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, it's hurting me watching what they're doing to her, because I feel like if she was in, everything else to the side, if Rhea Ripley was in the position and we were in the world, like, what was that? I guess 8 years ago, however many years ago, when Becky Lynch was on the rise going into WrestleMania 35. Gosh, almost however many years ago that was now. I feel like they would have put the rocket on her. And I don't know why whoever the power may be, if it's Triple H, whomever, I don't care who it is. To me, it doesn't matter. Whomever it is who is not letting that woman just soar into the sky, it's like you hate money. It's like you like to work harder for your money than work smarter for your money. I just don't understand that concept, Rhea, it's like seeing her come out there with Io. I love her having a friend, because to me it never made any sense why none of the good guys or good women, like I always just say guys, why no good people have friends. Like, it's just backwards to me. But all the bad guys are all locked up and like rolling like 15 in a van, but like I can't get a like anybody, like a designated driver at least. So with Rhea, man, like I love what they're doing with her and Io, but it's almost too heavy. It's like, I don't need her to be hugging Io all the time. I don't need her to be like I just picture, like, if it was me and Rhea hanging out, like, yeah, I'll give you a hug, girl, but it's like, I don't need to fucking I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I don't need to be walking out.
It was inaudible.
I'm sorry. Okay. I don't need to be walking out there with my arm wrapped around you every week. You know what I mean? Like, and
it's weird.
And everyone knows. Yeah, like, we're friends. I got your back, girl. You got my back. Okay, we're good. Now let's. I'm still like, let me show you my brutality and all this stuff. It's like, you come out in all this black, and it's like you're hugging it up with Io. It's like, I don't know, man. I feel like they're trying to damper her for some reason, and it really bothers me. And again, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Anything else, Ashley, you want to share with us about the show tonight? You know what? Gunther. I wanted to ask about Gunther. Does Gunther have legit heel heat, or does it feel like he's too comedic? Or he's whatever. Like, how did Gunther come across? Because I don't. And was R-Truth popular, or are people over him?
Yeah, R-Truth was kind of like I said, like, just like that. Like, he just makes your heart happy type of guy. It's just like, oh, R-Truth. Like, you're always gonna be happy to see R-Truth. I think he fit the role for this week, but I think next week they may have an excuse, and they can get away with not showcasing Gunther. But after next week, they really need to have a clear direction and a clear warpath for him, whatever that's going to be going forward. And they need to take him more seriously. Yes, he can be smiling and laughing it up. Haha, like, I got over on you guys, like, but okay, like, I think even R-Truth said, like, how long are you going to laugh about it? Like, you laughed, okay, like, be serious now. Like, go back to being that Gunther that's going to destroy people, be the next version of the Legend Killer, if that's what they want to do. I think that's a really good idea. Like, have AJ be his next victim, if that's going to be at Mania, however that's going to play out, and go from there. But yeah, people cannot stand Gunther, cannot stand him. But I do think they will run into that dark alley if they don't make him more vicious. People are just gonna be like kind of like a laugh him off type heel, instead of like a, oh crap, like, it's kind of like a Brock Lesnar feel, like, oh, business is about to pick up type of feeling, not like, oh, well, here's Gunther, yeah, we don't like him, but whatever. But yeah, that was the only other thing that I was gonna say about Raw, like on site. It was honestly a bit more than I was expecting for it to be the last show of the year. But again, like I said, I'll go back in and listen to the beginning portion on my way home to your show here. But it was more than I was expecting for it to be the last show of the year. I don't think it was an outstanding show. I know I have bias because I was there, and the energy and all that. But yeah, I never get a chance to pop on, and I have Mondays off now, so maybe I'll be able to pop into your chat and maybe call in a little bit more. But I just wanted to jump on when I could.
Well, as an Austin Theory supporter and bandwagon occupant, the poll is up to 59%, somewhat in favor or firmly in favor, down to only 41%, firmly against or somewhat against. Only 1 in 5 people are firmly against him right now, getting the push, with the subtext, the subline being a waste of time. He's not good enough. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not unanimous pro, not unanimous con. A lot of different
It's working,
things
Wade.
on it. But yep.
Our
Well,
ways
I'm
are
not.
working.
We'll see. Awesome. Goodfella says sounds like Ashley had fun. That's awesome. And Sean says, Ashley, great hearing you call in.
One more thing.
Yes.
I have to cut you off, Wade. I have to cut
No,
you
do
off. Well, two things. One, I will never, if there are 3 phone numbers that will live in my brain until I die, it is your phone number. Well, not your direct line because that'd be weird, but it's that 347-215-8558. Because that cadence you would do every time. It's like it's ingrained in my brain. I was connecting my phone a couple months ago. I'm embarrassed to admit this. The number that first came to my mind was your PWTorch number. So I called that number to see if my phone was activated. It went through. So yeah, the radio line doesn't work, but which you probably know. But I just want to say thank you, Wade.
That's great.
My VIP membership I dropped off for a couple months. That was my fault, but I took advantage of your November sale. I hope everyone else did. If you didn't, you snoozed, so you lost. So that's on you guys. Pay it full price now. It's still worth it. I don't know what you guys were talking about at the beginning, but if I have to go and beat up any other reporters or journalists, I will, because you guys are the only ones that I have a subscription to. Like I am one of those people. I cut all the cords. I cut everything that I can. The PWTorch is what I will pay my money to. I love you guys. I love listening to you and Todd banter back and forth. It's one of my highlights of the week, especially on Friday mornings, man, when I can start my day listening to The Fix. I love it. So if you guys are out there listening and you are not, if you're just a wallflower like I am most of the time, put your money where your mouth is and be a wrestling fan and support Wade. So that's all I got to say, guys.
We got more time. Go ahead, Ashley. Fill 3 more minutes with that good stuff. No, I'm kidding.
Shoot, I can talk all night.
All right, thanks. I put the graphic on the screen for YouTubers.
Here.
So you can pause the screen and then sign up right now. Take Ashley's words of advice. If you're listening to us on the podcast side of things, pwtorch.com/govip. Love that. I love your phone number anecdote. That is tremendous. Yeah, it's amazing how some of that stuff sticks. And do you know the other phone number? We had 2 phone numbers over the years, for years at a time.
No, because I'm sorry to say I wasn't listening to you guys at that point because I lived in an area where I had dial-up internet only. So I was late to everything. So I've gone back, but it was like it was like 8.5 something. It was 8 something.
Yeah.
But
no big deal. I just was like, maybe that got great too. Cool. Ashley, thanks. We're gonna bore people if we talk about phone numbers too much longer. Maybe we already did. I don't know. Why did I ask that follow-up question?
Sorry,
thanks,
if I
Ashley.
for you.
You're great. Please make a habit of calling in.
Definitely will. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thanks. Yep, you too. All right. Oh, I do want to note, by the way, in the flow of things here, it's a new year. We got some open slots on our contributor team. Volunteers, welcome. If you're interested in being a contributor to pwtorch.com with written weekly reports and columns, apply to join our team. Email me, kellerwade@gmail.com. kellerwade@gmail.com. Pretty much everybody who you ever see co-hosting on the show, people writing for the Torch, people writing in the newsletter over the years, started off with an email saying, I'd like to write. I'd like to get my opinions out there. Here's what I bring that I think would be good. And so not everybody who emails gets a spot, but you can do what Braun Breaker's doing, audition. Or Austin Theory probably is better choice. Audition for a spot on the Torch contributor team. We'd love to hear from you. We have a variety of openings, and we can get into that in an email exchange. kellerwade@gmail.com. All right. Always great hearing from Ashley. It was fun to have an on-site correspondent. If you want to be an on-site correspondent, by the way, you can let us know ahead of time. You can just call in too, but it's a little better to let us know so we kind of pace ourselves and plan for it. It's not a dig at Ashley. I mean, it's great if you just call us on a whim and it works out. But if you are going and want to give us a heads up, just email kellerwade@gmail.com, or even better, Wade Keller postshow@gmail.com. And then I'll just mark you down as a potential correspondent. We'll talk about the logistics of it. All right. We had some chat comments on Rhea Ripley, and I want to throw a couple of them on the screen, and then we can see if there's anything else we want to do before we wrap up here. Sean Plichta says they need to do way more with Rhea than they are. Interesting theory here. Nashville Diaz says they are lowering Rhea to everyone else's level because they have no other woman on her level on the roster right now. Interesting take. Derek Mitchell says Rhea hasn't been the same since she wedged herself into the Io and Bianca world title match at WrestleMania 41. I think there's something to that. Kavanti Small says Rhea needs to win the Rumble to correct course. Sean says Rhea's already won it. I think she's above that. Nashville Diaz says nothing says this is my brutality like smiles and hugs with your BFF. And Sean says they have women to Rhea's level, but they aren't pushing them enough. All right. And JC Scoopy said, yeah, Rhea doesn't need to win the Rumble. She's beyond that now. Agreeing with Sean as far as that goes. Is there anything you want to add, Paul, to the Rhea discussion?
Yeah, it's a little bit surprising that Rhea has been so far away from the title picture. It seems like most of the top contenders for the women's titles have been ignoring the women's championship or the women's title, and instead focusing on the tag team titles. And Rhea perhaps is first and foremost in that group. Why she's leaning so heavily into the joy she has of teaming with Io, it is a little bit odd, and it does make me wonder what they're going for. I do wonder how Rhea really greatly enjoys working with Io Sky, and that's just coming off in the television programming. But season approaching, we're going to see the real top contenders sort of wake up and remember that there's a world title to challenge for.
It'd be nice if somebody along the way said, even if it's just natural, they just like each other. Like, let's tone it down a little for TV. Like, if it's natural and not something they're telling them to do, you could still say, dial it down, just 25% or something. Sadler Version 3 says, my theory is they powered Rhea down because they didn't want her lording over the division like Becky did in her original The Man run. The rest of the division was so weak compared to Becky back then. Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard any conspiracy theory about it, so I don't know. Maybe it's worth asking around a little bit, especially if things don't get better going forward. We did have a super chat from Derek Mitchell. I usually get to these right away, and I apologize, Derek, for not doing it. I will wedge you in if you super chat. Those are always welcome. Derek says, if Braun defeats Punk for the World Heavyweight title on Raw on January 5th, he'll be the first male wrestler born in the 90s to win the world title in WWE. Every other world champion in the last 40 years was born in the late 50s through the 80s. Wow. So, yeah, cool stat there. Yeah, that's fine. I always hear like the presidents. Oh, we haven't had a Gen X this or a baby boomer that. It's like that's always kind of fun to get stats like that. So thank you for that, Derek. Appreciate it. Sorry, it took me a while to get to it. All right. I don't know if anything else is. I don't know if anything else is jumping out to me that I need to comment on. Anything for you, Paul?
So I found this promo to be comprehensible, and Wade, I wonder if we're able to what she was saying for Brian and leaking out.
Your internet has been freezing on us, and I wasn't quite able to pick up on what you said there. Try it one more time. If not, might have to call it a night.
Sure. So Asuka was the incomprehensible, perhaps as much as I am. With my
All right, Paul, I heard Asuka and then almost nothing since then. Asuka, I thought, was a delightful over-the-top heel with Kairi. I mean, just, yeah, the fans are stupid babies. I felt like she was shaking her leg like Elvis, and Kairi wasn't sure what to do with it at some point. So it was fun. I mean, it was just, they're not going to give him a ton of time in the ring to talk because it was mostly a setup for Rhea and Io to run out there. Yeah, I mean, I get a kick out of Asuka's over the top guttural promos and all that. So anyway, I know Paul, thanks so much. Sorry, or I don't know what the connection issue is, but it's starting to drag. So we'll do a sign off there. Derek Mitchell says, thank you, Wade and Paul. Another great show. Appreciate it very much. I will. Derek adds, the Raw and SmackDowns have been better holiday shows than some others in the past, and it is nice that that they haven't been leaning too hard into nonsense, holiday-themed nonsense. All right, everybody, thanks. We'd love for your support as a VIP member, but you can also just support us by liking the show, commenting below, get a conversation going with other listeners, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet, of course. And if you haven't done it yet, it's a good time to subscribe to the Blue Logo Show, the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast. It is free to sign up for, and you can then get the flagship tomorrow. Jason Powell from ProWrestling.net scheduled to join me, and you can send your questions for that to Wade Keller Podcast at gmail.com. That is Wade Keller Podcast at gmail.com. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on the flagship, and then Wednesday night after Dynamite, and on the VIP side of things, probably other occasions between now and then also. Thanks, everybody.